far as the Great Resignation, a lot of agency owners, PR firm owners had to sort of change how they set goals and manage people, and maybe give them a little more independence, perhaps to suddenly a lot of people had tasted working from home, having a little more freedom, working from anywhere. They could make a new home. How did that impact Fin Partners and your different acquisitions throughout the country and the world? And what do you think what would you ask, or what do you think other agencies and PR firms throughout the country should be doing in regards to this era?
Well, let me say first that if anybody had asked me 3 years ago if we could service our clients with everybody working remotely, I would have said, of course not. And if anybody had asked me whether we could pitch new business and win it by doing it over Zoom or some video conferencing system, I would have said, of course not. If anybody had asked me, could we hire new people and onboard them without having them come to the office, I would have said no. But I would have been wrong, because we've done all those things. So the world has changed for all of us. My point of view is I think that agencies or any employer is at a competitive disadvantage if they insist that people come back to work. People have gotten used to a new way of doing things, and it's working. There are problems and there are pluses, with any type of setup. But we're leaving it up to every office and every business unit leader to decide what works best for their team. My general point of view is I think that we've hired a lot of people who don't even work near one of our offices. So there's no office to ask them to come into. That's one of the things that changed with the Great Resignation. I'm sorry, with remote work and the pandemic, that we hired talent wherever they happen to be. And so I think that you hear this phrase all the time, that things will never go back to the way they were before. And I think that's right. So my advice would be to be very flexible and let business leaders decide what works for their teams. And if it's a small agency, of course, the agency head's going to have to decide. But I'm in favor of giving employees the flexibility of working remotely or coming to the office, or a hybrid arrangement, whatever works best for them. There are many working women who have benefited, women and men who have benefited from being able to work at home and be closer to their kids and be able to help, take care of their kids, pick them up at school or whatever. It just wouldn't have been possible if they were at the office. They could take a half hour off from work and go pick their kids up at the end of the day at school. And that, as long as the work is getting done for the clients and for the agency, why not allow that? So I guess another question is, how do the agency people you'll be asking questions of feel about remote work versus in the office? And are they going to insist that people come in? If so, how many days a week? Is it full-time return to office? There are some who are doing that, but I think that's very risky in today's environments.
We used to count noses with FTEs, or full-time equivalencies, and that was in a traditional office where there were desks and people. Now, as you start to evaluate agencies and the value of the workforce that they might bring to the table, have you had to change your calculation a little bit and have fractional employees and different types of values?
Well, most of our employees are still full-time, and most of the employees of the firms we acquire are still full-time. But if an agency is virtual now, that's not a problem for us in terms of a possible acquisition. We still think of geographies. So we have in our New York office, which is our headquarters, theoretically, we have 350 people in our New York office. We've never had 350 people come to our New York office. And our lease is ending, where we've signed a new lease, a new long-term lease. Space is a little bit smaller, not a lot smaller, but it's a completely different configuration. It's not going to be, there'll be some people who will come in every day or multiple days a week, and that's fine, and they'll have dedicated space. But a lot of the office space is going to be designed for people who want to come in less frequently, and they really come in to meet with colleagues. So a lot more conference rooms, a lot of casual open meeting space areas. So we still think about who are our employees of our New York office, even though they may live 2 hours away from the New York office or more, but they are part of a New York office team. So this whole transition to virtual or hybrid really hasn't affected our acquisition strategy in any way.
So I know economics and the Great Resignation and the employee workforce are challenges for our industry. This month, everyone is talking about Chat GPT and AI and the deep fakes and the images. What challenges do you see for our industry on the immediate and long-term horizon?
You know, I'm reading the news, the stories about that, and just watching. I don't know yet. I mean, look, there's no question artificial intelligence is going to affect every aspect of our lives in the future, and it's going to affect our business. I think it's premature to declare how it's going to affect our business, and it's probably going to take a while for that to clarify. So I'm not in a position to say this is what's going to happen. You know, this is what we should all watch out for. This is what we should be cautious of. I'm just watching and learning at this point.